you grew up in a household where you heard your parents arguing about money, odds are then you are not going to think very highly of money. You're not going to like money very much. Whatever your first money memory is, that's going to tell a lot about how you feel about money and what your relationship with money is.
Welcome to The Power of Family, the podcast where we help families talk, listen, and connect across generations. I'm your host, Terry Willis. Our guest today is Shari Rash, money expert, author, and host of the New York Times Top 4 podcast, Everyone's Talking Money. With over 17 years in finance and more than 24 million downloads, Shari is known for making money conversations approachable and empowering. She's the best financial friend who helps people rethink their relationships with money and take control of their financial future. Good morning, Shari. Welcome to the Power Family Podcast here. And I've invited you here because I read your bio and it just intrigued me to see that you were a money expert. You were involved in podcasting. And the line that really caught me in your bio is that you said you make financing fun. You make understanding it fun. And we try to bring on guests from all different walks of life. And even though our concerns are about, grandparents and grandchildren and parents and their children, financing is definitely a part of that because it can make a family or it can surely break a family. So, Shari, tell us something about yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Terry, for having me. I do try to make it as fun as possible because finance really is not the most exciting topic to talk about. It can often be overwhelming or intimidating for many people. And a lot of the reason for that is how we were raised, how we were taught to talk about money, or how we heard our parents talk about money. So taking the stigma away from money and just looking at it as facts, as data, really helps to make it more approachable and really make money for everyone.
And that everyone surely consists of each and every one of us out here, because I know that we all have our issues and I have mine and we all do.
We all are affected by money. We all have to spend it. We earn it. Money affects each and every one of us. No one's insulated from it. So we all have to have an understanding of money, a relationship with money, even if it's not a good relationship, at least a neutral relationship with money. And that's really what my focus is to bring my clients or my podcast listeners from a negative, overwhelmed relationship with money to at least neutral, looking at it as at what it is, which is just data. It's a tool in order for us to accomplish things. So that's what my goal is every day.
From your perspective, what is the emotional legacy families pass down when it comes to money?
Yeah, so that's big because the way we think about money is really a product of how we were raised, how we grew up, what we heard our parents saying about money, or even not saying about money. So if you grew up in a household where you heard your parents arguing about money, odds are then you are not going to think very highly of money. You're not going to like money very much because it was a source of conflict or frustration in your household. If you grew up in a household that your parents said, well, rich people are bad. If you make a lot of money, whoever makes a lot of money, they're bad people. Again, you may have this inside of your head of blocking you from ever truly becoming successful or financially affluent because you may feel like I'm a good person. So I don't want to be a bad person. So and this is all subconscious. This is not conscious, but I don't want to be a bad person. So we may do things to block ourselves from truly becoming wealthy because we don't want to become those quote unquote bad people. If you heard growing up, we can't afford that. Again, that's a negative sentence. Your parents may not have looked at it as negative, or if you've said it yourself to your children, you may not have seen it as negative. You just saw it as we can't afford it. That is what it is. But a child doesn't understand what that means. So if you're at the store and, kid sees a Barbie and they're like, I want that, can you get me that Barbie? I really want that Barbie. And you say, no, we can't afford that. One, the child doesn't understand that it's, To them, that's like the most important thing ever. To you, that's completely frivolous, right? It's completely unnecessary. You're also looking at it as like, I mean, Barbies are like so expensive. I have a 6-year-old. I'm like, does a Barbie really cost like $25? This is crazy. But it's like, I don't want to spend my $25 on this. Like you have 15 Barbies at home. So you may just say, I can't afford that. A kid doesn't understand what $25 is or what $7 is or what is expensive or cheap or anything like that. They have no concept. So if they hear you say, we can't afford that to the Barbie, well, the child's mind goes, well, what else can't we afford? Can we not afford our house? Can we not afford food? Can we not afford clothes? Can we not afford other things? And their brains don't necessarily understand like the Barbie is an extra, right? We're choosing not to spend our money on that. So just by reframing some of these statements, some of these conversations can help to just create a better relationship with money. Your overall messaging doesn't have to change or your desire of what you're trying to get across, but just changing the sentence slightly completely changes the recipient's interpretation of it and how it can affect them going forward.
And you were telling the stories there about the kids and the Barbie dolls and the toys. I understand it all too well because I go out with my grandkids now and it is head on, dead on. I want. Just as you stated, they don't understand the part about $25 or $30 or $40. It's just that they want. And us as parents and grandparents, we try to be the best that we can, and we want to give them. And in that same light, many parents just avoid having the conversations about money. Totally. What are some of the ways families can make it simple to introduce the fact of what that cost of an item is so that everyone can just have the conversation?
Yeah, if you're not talking about your money not your money to your kids and grandkids, you really are doing them a disservice because I say this all the time. We graduate college or we start our careers and we're just expected to know how to do this stuff, like money stuff. We're expected to like know how to pick our benefits. Like I remember day one of my first big girl job. I'm sitting in a room like at orientation. It's like, all right, well, pick your benefits. I'm like, I don't even know what any of this stuff means, but like, you're just expected to know how to do it. No one teaches you it. Or, managing your money. No one teaches you it. You're just expected to know how. So if you're not teaching your kids or grandkids about money, you are doing them a disservice. And it doesn't have to be this great big lesson, like sit down, let me teach you everything. Just through day to day, just like maybe talking out loud. Like again, at the store with the Barbie or you're with your grandkids, you're saying, I want. Instead, if they want the Barbie, okay, you really want that Barbie. Well, do you want to use your money for it? I know you have money in your piggy bank. Do you want to, we could go home, go get your piggy bank money and come back and get the Barbie? Would you like to do that? And most of the time the kid's going to say no because it's their money they're spending. They don't want to spend their money. They want to spend your money. Well, then it must not have been that important to you if you don't want to go home and get your own money and come back and go get it. And if they say, yeah, I do. Okay. It's a little annoying to have to drive home and drive back or whatever you want to do. Or hey, I'll pay for it, but you have to pay me back when we get home, whatever logistics you want to work out. But what it does is it gives the child autonomy. It allows them to make a decision. It gives them the power versus you just saying no as the adult. You're then saying to the kid, okay, but here's your choices. You can get it and use your own money, or you can choose to not get it. And they may say, okay, never mind. I don't want to get that Barbie. Or you could, when a child, and so that's one example when you're in a store and you're constantly I want, great. Do you want to use your own money for it? So that's one option. Another option is when they get money, when a child receives money. So whether it's, for a birthday or tooth fairy, whatever it is, teach them okay, let's put some money in your piggy bank and that's what you can use, when stuff comes up and you want to buy it, or even get them a little wallet, buy them a little wallet to put their money into. So when you do go to the store, say, hey, grab your wallet in case you want it. Every time we go to Target, you want something, like grab your wallet in case you see something you want. Help them understand how much money they have in their wallet. Like, okay, you have $10 in your wallet, but so you need to find something that's less than $10. I try to teach my kids the whole sales tax thing, but like that just goes that it's a little bit above my 6-year-olds. Like it's a little bit above them, but still, like my older kids understand sales tax. They know add 10% to that price because that's what that's what you're really going to pay at the cash register. So you need to be ready to and know what sales tax is. So, but by teaching them this stuff, it allows them to start making some decisions. And the beauty of it is, when a 6-year-old goes and spends all the money in her wallet on a Barbie, it's not that big of a deal, right? But when you're 26 and you blow all of your money and you have nothing left, like that's a bigger deal. So like the stakes are really low when your kids are kids. They can't mess things up too badly. Allow them to make decisions. Allow them to make some mistakes. Allow them to buy that cheap toy that is a piece of garbage that's going to break, but they really want it. Okay, fine. Go ahead and buy it. And it breaks, before you even get home. Like we'll see, like that wasn't really a good quality piece of product. Like you need to look at what you're buying. You need to understand it. Like things lessons. And the beauty of it is we can't mess it up too bad. We're all just learning for the future.
From your perspective, when is the relationship crossed? When you have a parent who's raising their child in one direction, but you have that grandparent who wants to still smother their child with those gifts in which the parents are trying to avoid giving them. Yeah. Where is that line?
That's a hard one because, it's funny. I'm an elder millennial. I'm 40 years old. I have a 14-year-old, a 12-year-old, and 2 6-year-olds. So when my first daughter came, and even my second daughter, so many toys, so much stuff. Like stuff just came, birthday parties. Like they just got a lot of stuff, a lot of toys. And now with my younger 2, they're 6 years old. They're twins. We still have all the toys left over from everything, from the older 2. We still have the toys left over. We still have the stuff. And I am getting one, obviously I talk about money all day, every day, right? So it's always something on my mind. And then I'm looking at my house and it's like, we can't bring any more stuff into my house, any more toys into my house. So there is a fine line of like, stop giving my kids toys. And a lot of my friends, a lot of my peers feel the same way. Like we want less toys, we want less stuff because one, we just, it's environmental. Like we're just going to be throwing these toys in the garbage in a couple of years. So it's like the environmental impact, the impact of our household. Like there's just not as many places to store it. How many toys does a kid need? We know our kids use this stuff once and then toss it aside. So I definitely see the dynamic of the parents not wanting the stuff brought into the household and the grandparents going, well, we want to give them a present. Like we want something to open. And the kids are like, are like, just put money in like a 529 or open up an account, do something for them. Yes. Right. And I think that's where a conversation comes and there has to be a happy medium because I'd much rather have, instead of $100 worth of presents for my kids, I'd much rather have $100 put in their account for them. Totally. But I get it for the kid. The kid's like, I'm not opening anything up. I can't open my bank account. That doesn't mean anything. And then I get the grandparents going, well, I want to give them a present. So I think that, with a lot of things, there has to be some type of compromise because both sides aren't wrong, right? There's validity in both sides of the argument. So I think that's really where there's a compromise of like, maybe experiences as gifts instead, right? Like, oh, let's go to the zoo. Let's go to this museum. Let's go to the monster truck. Okay.
Since now we're moving on to the parents and money and grandparents and money. If someone realizes they inherited unhealthy money beliefs, what are practical steps they can take to rewrite the financial narrative for themselves and their children?
Yeah. So realizing it, I think, is probably the hardest part because we deal with money in silos. So we don't talk about money. So it would really take like a big aha moment to be like, oh, I have an unhealthy relationship with money, because we just think we're normal. We just think it's normal. However, we think, because we don't talk about money with other people. So we don't have that someone to check us and go, that's actually kind of odd that you think that way, or like that's not quote unquote normal. So to like determine like, oh, I might have a frayed relationship with money or an uncomfortable relationship with money. I first would say, think of your first money memory, and whatever it could be. It may not necessarily be your first, but whatever comes to mind is your most prominent money memory. And again, it could be hearing your parents argue, not having, feeling left out because you don't have a certain type of clothes, or whatever it is, whatever your first money memory is, that's going to tell a lot about how you feel about money and what your relationship with money is. And then like when you hear the word money, what comes to mind? And those two things are going to be pretty big indicators of what your relationship with money is. So once you realize, oh, this is negative, we just want to work from getting from like negative to neutral, right? We don't need to go from negative to good. Negative to neutral is fine. Neutral is good because money is neutral. Money's not good or bad. It just is. We're the ones that put our emotions on it. So how can we get from negative to neutral? One, look at some of the actions that you have with money, or some of your beliefs. If you find yourself just saving, like you keep saving in a savings account, you can never have enough. Oh, once I get to X amount in my savings account, I'll feel okay, or I'll be okay. Oh, well, once you get to X, oh, well, I really need Y amount in my savings account. That'll be, and it's like kind of like the carrot dangling in front of you. You're what I call a money hoarder. Like you can never have enough cash on hand. And that is detrimental. There's nothing, obviously, saving is very good, but saving so much in cash and hoarding it, that's where it can become a negative thing. Or do you just spend? Do you spend without even thinking? I once worked with someone that her first money memory was of her parents were divorced, and she was going from her mom's house to her dad's house. And her mom put like a letter in her suitcase to give to her dad to ask for more money. Like the mom needed more money. And she always just felt weird because she just felt like she was an expense. Like her mom had to ask her dad for money, and then her dad would say no. And it just like made her feel devalued as a person. But her reaction to money was she just spent. She never wanted to like tell herself no, or she couldn't afford it. She never wanted to have that feeling. So like, what are some of the habits that you have when it comes to money that like, if you were to compare yourself to someone else, you'd be like, that's not the best thing. That's not the best action to take. And just take little steps to modify it. Like, it's like the yin and the yang. So if you're an over saver, instead of keep on saving money in the savings account, maybe take some of that money and invest it. Or go on the vacation you've been delaying because you don't have quote unquote enough money. If you factually do have enough money sitting in the savings account, go on vacation or fix something in your house that you've been wanting to fix. Whatever it is, go ahead and do that thing and realize the world's not going to blow up. Like everything's going to be okay. Conversely, that woman I was telling you about, she's a spender. She needs to put some safeguards, some automations into her life to make sure she's saving automatically, saving without thinking. So it's just creating some awareness with your money. Everyone has a different money personality. Sometimes we have a blend of one or two or three money personalities, but identify what yours is. And I would say also talk about money, talk to people about money. And that's a mistake that us as a society makes, is that we think talking about money means I'm telling you everything I have, like everything about me. I'm telling you my income, my savings, my retirement. No, you can talk. I talk about money all day. No one knows how much money I have, don't have, how much I make, anything like that. So you can talk about money without opening up, your personal bank account and sharing everything. But talk to people about stuff like, hey, like, what do you think about this? Or like, talk about the price of groceries. No one's happy about the price of groceries. We all can agree on that. So like, start with something that everyone can like talk about and it affects everyone, and just see where the conversation goes. And you'll realize very quickly that we all carry our own money baggage, but it's all different. And you can likely learn from the people around you.
When you talk about money, and as we all know, and as you stated, it's that many feel it's a taboo. What tools do you have that one can possibly work with or begin to utilize and breaking that barrier?
Yeah. Again, it's just having that conversation, starting that conversation. Like I remember quite a few years ago, my husband and I were debating about getting a lawn service, like just to come cut our grass. At that point in time, we had like an acre of property. It was annoying for him to cut. He didn't want to do it anymore. Like, let's hire a landscaper to just cut our grass for us. And our neighbor just recently started to hire a landscaper. And I'm like, he's like, I wonder how much they're paying for that, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, go ask. He's like, I can't ask. Why can't you ask? Like, why can't you ask when you're both standing out in the driveway? Why can't you go ask and say, how much are you paying to have your grass cut? That's not personal. How is that taboo? It's factual. It's no reflection on my neighbor as a person, how much money he's paying for his lawn to be cut. We're not learning anything about their personal finances by asking how much it costs to cut their grass. Like, why can't we have that conversation? Like, why is that taboo? And it's again, because of all the junk and the emotions that we ourselves put on money that is so unnecessary that we make it taboo. Terry, would you be insulted if your neighbor asked you how much you pay for your lawn cutting service or, house cleaner or something like that?
To me, it's giving a recommendation for that service company. They would love for you to share that news.
Exactly.
Sure.
Right. It could be helping a small business. Like it could be helping someone that is trying to grow their business. Like, oh, now I can do 2 lawns right next to each other. That just makes my life a whole lot easier. Like, and I might give you guys a discount because you're saving me time and money, right? So that's like just like one example that always comes to mind of like, that shouldn't be a hard, like that should not be a taboo conversation. Like that should not be uncomfortable. Even like on Facebook, I'll see a lot like looking for recommendations for contractor, like, or house cleaner. And like sometimes people say, can you please tell me how much your house cleaner costs and like the size of your house so I know what an appropriate price is? And like, or like, can you please tell me how much your bathroom renovation was so I can judge it, like, so I can have some knowledge going in? And even then people are still weird. Like, I'll send you a DM and let you know. It's like, what? Like, just say how much you paid. Like, who cares? Like, no one's judging. Like, even if you paid a lot of money, be like, I paid X amount and I feel like this was like way too much. Like, I feel like it was an exorbitant amount of money that I paid, or like, I paid this amount and I feel like it was a great deal. Like, why aren't we helping each other out in that? And even then people still feel uncomfortable, but it's facts. It's data.
It's society. It's what we've come to when it comes to money. It's exactly what you're talking about here. It's that the teaching begins at a young age. And so by the time you grow, and if you haven't been exposed to that teaching, you're left with those thoughts that were inherited from parents and grandparents and everyone else.
Exactly.
Sure.
Exactly. If you grew up in a household, we don't talk about money, you're uncomfortable telling everyone how much your house cleaner costs when someone asks online. But it's no reflection of you as a person. There's no emotion to it. It's just data. It's just collecting information. So talking about, with your friends, like talking about stuff with kids, like paying for college. Like some of my friends plan to pay for their kids' college, some don't. It's just a conversation. There's no judgment. There's no nothing. It's just factual. Yes, that's something we can afford, or no, we're going to, have our kids pay their own way because that's what we did and we thought it had valuable lessons. Like, great. It's all part of the conversation. And and likely everyone will bring up ideas that you didn't even think of.
Where in the timeline of life does one begin to understand or need to understand investing and plowing away that money into a 401 or any type of long-term investment?
As early as possible. I have 4 kids. They each have a investment account. My husband and I have separate investment accounts, but then my dad started an investment account for my kids, and they each have a stock that kind of represents things that they like, right? So I have one boy, my boy has Caterpillar stock. My girls have like Starbucks and Ulta and like other stuff that they're into. Well, Caterpillar, and my kids all understand that they have these stocks. They all understand that they have these investments. Caterpillar's on a tear right now. My boy, we joke that he's the richest one in our house because his stock is doing very well. And he's very proud of the fact that he's the richest one in our house. But, so then it's like, well, then it kind of creates some healthy competition. I want to be the richest one in our house. Okay, we got to pick another stock then. Like, let's pick a different stock because your stock stinks right now. So let's pick another one that we can invest into. Anytime you can start having that conversation, they don't need to know the ins and outs of the market and what the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones and all of that stuff is. They don't need to know that stuff. All they need to know is like, hey, you own a little bit of McDonald's. Like you are a very, very small owner of McDonald's because that's what a share of stock represents, ownership in a company. Can you go in and start, acting like you're the manager of our local McDonald's? No, you may not, but when McDonald's does well, you're going to do well. When it does poorly, you're not going to do, your stock's going to do poorly. But a savings account, the problem that money is a lot electronic today is super confusing for kids. Like that's really hard for them to understand. Like when we moved from Virginia to South Carolina, my kids' money is in a bank in Virginia. There are no locations in South Carolina. So my kids think they left their money in Virginia. Like their money's in Virginia. My 6-year-olds, they're never going to see that money again. It's very hard to understand. Like, no, it's on my app. Look at your number. Here it is. Like I can show it to you. That's very hard for them to understand. But they do understand because they remember taking their piggy banks to the bank, dumping their money out and giving it to the teller and it being put in the bank. Like they know that. So they think their money is in the bank. So you can start doing that at any point in time. So I'd highly recommend it. And again, when your child or grandchild gets money from the tooth fairy or for a birthday, put half in your wallet and let's go take the other half to the bank and put it in your bank account. And you can start doing that at any age.
Just the thought of that process and having those conversations with your child or grandchild, it's a conversation piece. It's a constructive conversation piece in talking about investing and letting them see the growth of a stock by just reading what that stock market price is from day to day or week to week. It's a growth experience for them. And I commend you for that wholeheartedly. Because years ago, I purchased a Disney stock for my granddaughter. I don't know what she ever did with it, but I purchased a few of them for her. So it's there. I understand the value.
Yeah. And isn't that so much more productive, like taking the money to the bank or like, hey, let's put some money in your wallet and bring your wallet when we go to the store. Like that is what's going to shape their relationship with money. So then even if like we do have the slip ups of like, oh, we can't afford that or you have that, there's so many other like positive experiences with money that's going to counteract like anything like the negative stuff. So at least they're going to be able to see, look what money can do for me or look what I can do with my money.
Well, good. And that leads me into asking this question. When your children or the next generation look back someday, what do you hope their emotional relationship with money will be because the way it was talked about in your household?
So my goal is for there to be no emotional relationship with money, for it to just be data, for it to be facts. And because that's what, as humans, we put our emotions on things, right? So my goal with my kids is to not have emotions when it comes to money, for it to be factual. You have this amount of money in your account, which means you have this much to spend. You earn this much money. Okay, here are the things you need to pay for. Let's pay for them or let's set money aside. I want them to look at money as a tool to help them to be able to do things. So help them achieve their goals, help them to make purchases, help them, invest in themselves. So that's what my goal is. Obviously, if they could, say, I love money and I think this is great and have a very healthy, positive emotion, relationship with money, that's even better. But like at a minimum, I just want them to look at money as neutral and what can I use my money to do for.
Yeah. Well, as we bring this podcast to an end here, how can someone reach you should they feel that it's time for them to step into the arena of getting a better understanding of financing and being able to discuss this with their grandchildren and children? Where can they reach you?
Yes. So I have a podcast called Everyone's Talking Money, TALKIN. And that is where you can find, I release episodes twice a week about money mindset, personal finance best practices. And I also have a club called the Everyone's Talking Money Club, where I bring people together and there's a library of personal finance resources that are always getting refreshed. I have a community where you can connect with people just like you to talk about money, talk about episodes, talk about personal finance topics. And also I have monthly Q&As for my Everyone's Talking Money Club members. So that would be the best place to get a hold of me and learn more.
We are surely going to promote that for you here on our podcast and our platform. And Shari, I want to thank you for coming, and perhaps sometime again in the future as we grow and our needs and our audience widens as well. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Before we close, I want to leave you with this. Families don't fall apart because they don't care. They struggle when they don't feel heard, understood, or safe enough to speak honestly. If something from today's conversation resonated with you, I invite you to pause and think about one small conversation you can have this week. One question, one check-in, one moment of listening without fixing. If this episode was meaningful, please subscribe to The Power of Family. Share it with someone you love or send it to your family group chat. You can find more episodes and resources at thepoweroffamilyus.com. Until next time, keep showing up, keep listening, and keep building connection. This is Terry Willis. Thanks for being here.